When abilities were first introduced to the human race, people discovered that some abilities were more powerful than others. The abilities themselves differed from person to person. They depended on how many mutated cells could be activated within a person's body and how much a person's body could withstand. Not long after the introduction of abilities came the power level system, which consisted of 8 power levels. These levels indicated how many mutated cells were in a given body, not how strong the ability was. The military divided them into subcategories: 1.1, 1.2, all the way to 1.9. There were 2 ways for people to obtain abilities. One way was to learn it from an ability book. The other was to be an original. During the war with the Dalkee, humans began exhibiting powers. No one could explain why, but the first people to have these powers were called originals. Scientists claimed it was humanity's last stand against extinction. The originals' power came as a shock to the Dalkee. It proved to be enough to push them back and turn the tide of the war. These new superheroes realized that they could share their powers with other people. The originals wrote down how they accomplished this in what would later become known as ability books. After the First War ended, the books were no longer distributed freely. They were instead sold at premium prices. The originals realized their powers now put them at the top of the food chain. They wanted to make the most of it. Meanwhile, the military decided to keep the more powerful abilities for themselves. The public could only get their hands on lower-level ability books. Powerful corporations and the military connived with originals to keep the higher-level books for themselves. One had to be an original or own an ability book to have powers. Unsurprisingly, the originals were stronger and accessed higher levels than the rest of the human race. Their powers often couldn't be measured using the power system. However, not all originals chose to share their abilities with the outside world. Some decided to keep it exclusive to their bloodline. After the demise of his parents, Quinn had no family members to support him. He had lacked the means to buy even the cheapest ability book. As far as he knew, his family had not been special enough to be an original. Now, it seemed he had managed to obtain an ability after all. However, he had never heard of an ability book like his before. He didn't even have a clue what power level he was anymore. Everything was a mystery to him. Most ability books had techniques that helped the reader master their ability up to a certain power level. Unfortunately, Quinn's book had disappeared, and with it, whatever knowledge it contained. Quinn lifted his hand to look at the watch. It indicated his current power level was 1. When he looked around, he noticed that everyone else's watches showed the same number. He still had no idea if he really was only a level 1, or if something had changed. Sergeant Griff stood in front of all the students, calling out names in groups of 5. These students were then transported elsewhere to take the test. Quinn thought at first that he might be at a higher level than the day before. His new ability should affect his results. He started to worry it wouldn't be so simple once a screen popped up in front of him.
You are being hit by direct sunlight. All stats will be halved.
Quinn didn't know how good 10 strength, 10 agility, and 10 stamina were relative to other abilities, but he did know that 10 was better than the 5 he was currently seeing for every stat. The halved stats made him nervous about the upcoming test. He tried to reassure himself. His eyesight had improved, hadn't it? At the very least, he should be in top condition for someone without an ability. At the same time, he couldn't lie to himself. Quinn felt incredibly weak and sluggish. He felt like he had a fever. He sweated all over. Quinn was thankful he had drunk so much water beforehand. He would have been extremely dehydrated otherwise. "Hey, are you okay?" the stranger asked him. The stranger had slick blonde hair and hazel green eyes, with a chiseled face and sharp jawline. He stood at 6'2", towering over Quinn's 5'11". Quinn would have avoided him back in his old school. The boy looked like someone who brought a lot of attention to himself. That was the last thing Quinn needed.
If you want, I can call someone for help,
the stranger offered.
It's okay. I'm just a little bit nervous about the testing.
Quinn lied. He tried to ignore his tired body and stood up straighter. The stranger's eyes roamed over Quinn's body with concern. Quinn looked skinny for his age. He didn't have a lot of muscle on him. To the stranger, Quinn looked like someone who had been bullied a lot. The boy reasoned that Quinn was wary of new people in a situation like this. Quinn sighed. If he ended up a level 1 again, he would be bullied all over again. The stranger smiled at him.
Don't be nervous. I'm quite strong. If anyone messes with you, you can come and ask me for help.
Quinn returned the smile, yet he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Quinn didn't usually get on with positive people. In fact, he did not get on well with anybody. Yet he found it hard to dislike the boy. The stranger was the first person to offer help in a long time.
The name's Vorden, by the way.
The boy offered Quinn his hand. Quinn looked at Vorden's hand. It was the first time in his life that someone had treated him like a normal person. He was afraid that would change. If this ability turns out to be a dud, this guy is going to turn his back on me just as quickly. But for now, why not get along with this guy? Quinn wanted to forget his past life, even if for a short amount of time.
My name's Quinn.
He shook Vorden's hand.
Use of an ability has been detected. The ability has been rejected.
Quinn looked at the messages, confused. He noticed Vorden still hadn't let go of his hand. The system repeated the message.
Use of an ability has been detected. The ability has been rejected.
Quinn forcefully pulled his hand back. The system warned him that Vorden tried to use his ability on him. Vorden looked just as confused, staring at Quinn.
What is your ability?
Vorden asked outright. Quinn stopped himself. Should he answer honestly? He wanted to see the real Vorden before he could trust him.
I don't have an ability.
Vorden wasn't satisfied with that answer. He no longer looked confused. He wanted to ask more questions, but Sergeant Griff interrupted.
Next group, Quinn Talon, Vorden Blade, Peter Chuck, Layla Munro, and Aaron Helly. Come to the front to take your test.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.